to From Scotland with Love. So we're finally here. I have finally seen No Time to Die after I don't know how long at this point of time. I'm just going to say right now, I'm recording this on a Saturday. I saw it on the Thursday. So I just wanted a couple of days to just let it sink in, and I hopefully will see it again, but I still just wanted my the first reactions, because in time it can maybe change. But so unlike my normal reviews that I do, I normally just say my initial thoughts and my likes, dislikes, and my final thoughts. But since this is a Bond movie, and since I am such a Bond fan and I love this franchise, I'm going to do this a bit differently. I'm really going to review this as a Bond fan more than just a casual viewer, because I'm not a casual viewer, I'm a Bond fan, and I do see things differently maybe than a normal person would see it. A lot of the Bond fans do see a Bond movie in a different sort of light. So, in saying that, this is going to be very categorise this whole movie. So I've got like a whole list, which I just need to bring my notes up because I've already forgotten that said category. So it will go down as initial reaction, the Gunbarrel Sequence, the opening sequence, titles, Bond, Bond villains, Bond women, the Mi6 Regualrs, action, locations, third act, music, and final thoughts. So that's how I'm going to be doing it step by step of this review. So let's begin then. Initial reaction. So I just want to begin with this actually just to say that this is indeed a non-spoiler for this part. Everything after from the Gunbarrel Sequence onwards is very much spoilers, so I'm just saying that right now. This is just my initial reaction, non-spoilers. I loved it, I really did. I came out of the cinema, it was everything that I was wanting to get from a Bond movie, a Daniel Craig movie. It was it had everything. It was fun, it was adventurous, it was still had the hard drama, it was emotional, and I actually generally got quite emotional, which I never thought that would happen in a Bond movie, but there we go. There was so many things I loved. Certain things I didn't like is more nitpicks. The biggest thing for me, maybe I need to go see it again a couple of times, was the villain. I wasn't really big on Rami Malek, if I'm completely honest, but in the later on in the video I'll talk maybe more why that was the case for me. But yeah, overall it's a fun adventure and a great way to end Daniel Craig's overall very successful and great era that it seems to have the pattern of good, bad, and good. So that's interesting. I actually don't mind Spectre, to be honest. I am that one fan that enjoys it. But yeah, that's just my quick initial reaction. It's just for me it was everything I was hoping for. Certain things that I'll talk about soon that I was thinking would maybe happen ended up happening. So but as I've seen, it's been a bit polarizing in the Bond community, because when's a fandom never polarizing, frankly? Because there's two big things that happen in this film that's never happened before in a Bond movie. I liked it. I thought it was good. I want this stuff in a Bond movie. Keep pushing, doing new things. So that could be interesting for some. I think some people are a bit funny on that sort of stuff. But for me, I loved it. So yeah, that's my quick initial reaction. So everything onwards is definitely now spoilers. The Gunbarrel Sequence. So there I am, sitting there, the lights go down, I'm getting very excited, because I do really like the Gunbarrel Sequence now, and I sit there, and it's starting, and literally my face just went, ugh. It's weird. I'm going to say right now, I prefer the Spectre Gunbarrel Sequence. I know a lot of people seem to not, because he waves his hand about, because what is wrong with fandom that's such a big issue. But a lot of people coming out saying that the reason why it looks different by rights and why Bond fades into white, that I'm going to say right now. So if you're still watching this, spoiler, I've said it now, Bond dies in this movie. So it's obviously a hint to that possibly happening. If that is true, then I won't hate it as much. But the fact that there was no blood, there was none of that, I was a bit and I preferred his pose in Spectre as well. I don't particularly like the pose that he does in this movie, if I'm honest. I quite like that he has the arm out, and I like that pose personally. I did like the look of the Gunbarrel as well. I thought it actually looked better than Spectre. I really liked the look, because it looked more like the classic era for me. But yeah, it was just, I liked the music. I thought the music was fine. But the biggest thing I did like the transition of the Universal logo that they used, and then it moved and it became the Gunbarrel. I was like, you get some brownie points for that one. I'll give you that one. But I've already heard that's actually quite a unique thing, because that's never going to be seen ever again, because obviously now Amazon has it, and B, it's only international. So it's interesting that there is people in cinemas not getting that look, and I thought that was quite an interesting thing. But yeah, overall, the Gunbarrel sequence was a bit kind of just meh for me. I preferred the Spectre one. I think I actually preferred Thomas Newman's score for the Gunbarrel as well. I just liked the kind of, I liked when I went it fade to black and you heard the music and it kind of built up to it, and I kind of preferred that a little bit more. But right, at least No Time to Die does transition into the movie. But right, opening sequence. Or should I say opening sequences, I guess, because Berice, there's two here to really unpack. So, talking about the first one, really, I loved this opening so much. I'm not gonna lie, if this was maybe just the opening, I think this would easily be my favourite opening of all of Bond. It was like something out of a horror movie. I loved it. I loved the location of Norway, which was really nice. I thought it looked stunning. I liked that, you know, there was bits of with, you know, the Madeline that when she mentions Inspector of the 9mm on next to the bleach under the sink, that was a nice little kind of, you know, callback, and it's nice that they remembered that and they did that, and I really liked that, and I liked the look of Safin. I wish it was maybe kept. I think they pushed so much of that look where it did become quite almost iconic to the movie, but it's the only time you really see it, and there's no. The mask is kind of used as a kind of, you know, it furthers off for more a symbolic reason for Madeline, but that's kind of really it. And I feel like there should have been a little bit more of that kind of look, because I really liked that look, and I loved the opening sequence. I thought that was really, really well done, because obviously by the end of it, he actually saves Madeline, so obviously he very much believes that, you know, her life is his to control. You know, there's a lot of control of women is very much that kind of theme here, which I really like that kind of opening sequence. But then obviously second sequence with where obviously we see Bond and Madeline, which I can tell you right now, if you didn't like Madeline and Bond and Spectre, you're gonna love them here, because in the first like 30 seconds they show way more chemistry than they did in Spectre. And I actually quite like Madeline and Bond. I did do a video which was actually on a different channel, which now I might redo, but I kind of said how like Madeline is clearly mentally not kind of there, and she is very cold and calculating, much like Bond, but that's actually why they connect. And she only just lost her father, and she's probably never loved anyone before, and that's why she's so quick into loving someone like Bond, who she does seem to kind of connect with. But here it's really nice. We get that. There's a nice callback to Vespa, which I really liked. I thought they kind of tied up nicely, you know, because you know, you always get the idea that he's still kind of hanging on Vespa a little bit, and I like that Madeline's kind of like, oh, where we are right now, they're kind of doing the celebration of, you know, forgetting about your past and, you know, kind of moving on from it. And I thought that was really quite really well done. The overall action stuff of this opening sequence felt a little bit. I preferred the drama more than the action, if I'm completely honest, in the opening sequence. Because there is some nice moments, but there's not the big moment, if that makes sense. There's just wee sprinkles almost for me. I did like the bridge jump, that was very nice. You know, I always love seeing the DB5, and I look nice being, you know, driving about. Though I did find it funny, the noise of the DB5, because I did not sound like a DB5. It almost sounded like I had a BMW engine inside of it, which was interesting. But so that there was just a couple of wee kind of bits that I thought, oh, was quite nice, and when he does the jump over the, you know, the bike, which again was nice, but I don't know, maybe I need to watch it again, but I like those wee moments, but I just didn't feel like they merged, and I think maybe that was my issue, because as I says, I prefer the drama. Like, I really loved, you know, that I really loved how Spectre was used in this movie, if I'm honest. Like, because I just ordered it, they were selling them on the 007 store, and it's the wee Spectre cards. I love that little moment of just like Bond, and that's how they're kind of sending a message. I like that sort of stuff, and you know, when Spectre's the logo appears on the phone to Madeline, and Bond suddenly doesn't trust Madeline, like what's going on. Obviously, I'm guessing the thing now that she was going to tell Bond was the fact that she was pregnant. That was the kind of the big thing, because at the end of the sequence, and I did notice that when the first time I watched it, when she goes on the train, she does touch her stomach. So it's kind of insinuated, obviously, that she's pregnant. And I remember watching it, I was just like, oh, I think something's going to happen there. So overall, it was a fun opening sequence. It's not my favourite. If it was maybe just the Norway sequence, I would have probably really loved it. But it did feel a little bit overstretched. But then at the same time, I did feel like as I said, I prefer the drama, and I think that really worked. But the action kind of, I don't know. Maybe I need to watch it again. Because normally how a Bond opening sequence ends was, oh, something big grandiosa. But obviously this is just Bond putting Madeline on a train. And that's kind of it. Obviously before that we do see, it's neat, don't get me wrong, seeing the DB5 doing donuts and destroying Italians' roads. That's fun, but I don't know, I just didn't think, when you think of Skyfall, Bond gets shot and he's fallen and we don't know if he's alive, but of course he's alive because he's in the next 2 hours, but it's still like, when you're in that cinema first time seeing you are like, whoa, that was quite good. Even, I'm not gonna lie, even Spectre I think did a little bit better with that fight in the helicopter doing the 360. I love that bit in that opening, but here I think they went more for a melancholy kind of way to end the opening sequence, which, is fine, but yeah, it wasn't really big for me. The titles. And once again, since GoldenEye, bar from Quantum of Solace, Daniel Kleinman returns to do the titles, and I think this might be his worst, if I'm honest. I didn't gravitate to these titles whatsoever. I don't know if it was because of the song as well. I'm going to say it right now. I just can't take to that song whatsoever. I remember watching it at the cinema the first time, and I genuinely thought in my head I might quickly just go to the toilet, because I feel like I'm not really going to get much out of this. For me personally, I've had a personal issue with the song, because I just feel like since Skyfall, all the songs have kind of felt the same a little bit. I would have loved it if we kind of went back to the little Casino Royale and it was a little bit more punch to the song. There's not a moment in that song where I feel like, oh, this is the moment where it's this moment where I'm gonna really love it. But it's just flat through the whole thing, and I don't think the titles help it either. There was shots I remember where the background was just clear, like red colour or blue colour, and it kind of looked cheap. I don't like to say the word, but it was just weird. There was some moments I liked. They were doing like obviously things with time, with like the cogs and all that. That was kind of nice, but again, it's just the first viewing. I might end up loving these titles, but I wasn't wowed by it. I think the last one I've been wowed by Daniel Kleinman was Skyfall. I thought Spectre was a little bit better than this one, to be honest. Even though it was a bit over the top with the tentacles, but I don't know. The titles did nothing for me for this movie, and it's a shame because I really like Daniel Kleinman. But a lot of his design choices like this and the Gunbarrel Sequence as well, it kind of lost on me a little bit. Maybe we need a new change. I don't know, because I really do like Daniel Kleinman, and when he's on a high, he's he's always done the best titles for me. As much as I love the kind of classic ones, they did get very samey very quickly. While Daniel Kleinman likes to obviously do themes with the movie, and unless I need to watch it again, but I feel like I missed that a little bit. I think that was my issue a little bit as well. With this one was the idea of the theming and all that. I think I lost that a little bit. But as I says, I've watched it once, so hopefully maybe I'll watch it again and I might get more of it. Bond. And of course you can't have a Bond movie without the main man himself, Daniel Craig, and this is obviously, as many of us know, this is his last one, and he probably gives the best performance as Bond in this movie. Does his usual kind of, more his kind of shtick of Bond, where, it's very more the kind of rough diamond, very, you take him serious, but he's really funny in this as well. Like, the humour really kind of works in this movie. I actually didn't mind the humour in Spectre. I think they kind of started kind of bringing that in a little bit. There was some nice stuff in that movie I quite liked. I still love that scene where oh god, I'm forgetting names. It's before the snowplane chase starts, and he hits the security guy and he just goes, "No, stay." I like his kind of humour, the way they kind of do. I thought that really worked. But for this movie, the humour is great for Bond. His journey is really good for Bond. As I said, this is a spoiler review, so I can talk about it. he has a child, which I'm actually quite surprised about. I really thought they would have done the whole thing of he can't have kids because they really wanted to maybe hammer home not to sleep about as he does. It can generally damage yourself. I thought they would maybe have done that route, but no. He has a child, and obviously that he dies at the end. And the scenes at the end of him is really good. I've seen people moan already. It's like, oh no, they've done it. They've made Craig bigger than Bond. I'm like, take a hike, Jesus. Oh, I really can't be bothered with that sort of stuff when I read that. Like, because he has pushed Bond. There is no denying it. Like he has really made Bond his own with this, and I think he's done a fantastic job, and he does a great job here. It would have been disappointing if, like, I am actually generally a fan of Spectre, but I will admit Daniel does seem a bit off. I think he admits it himself, because when you find out that, you know, he did have quite a bad injury and he tried to film through the whole damn thing with such a thing, so it's quite understandable. But here, you know, he's just 110%. It's probably my favourite performance from Daniel. I think he really is fantastic in this. The Bond villains. Now, the one thing I do love about this movie is we've got so many villains in this, and I think that is great to finally have so many villains again in Bond. And not just the fact of so many villains, but that so many work as well, which is quite rare, especially recently, because, oh, there's been some that are a bit rough. I mean, Spectre, you know, I actually quite like Christoph Waltz's Blofeld, but then Mr. Hinks was really good, but then that was kind of really, Mr. White came back, but, you know, Skyfall, I mean, it's really just Javier Bardem's Silvia. That's kind of really it for that movie. I mean, obviously you did have, oh God, what was his name in the opening? God, that's terrible. But he doesn't really make a connection with really anyone else, with the other villains. Well, this one, I really like the way they kind of connect with each other. I think that was really kind of, really done well for me. Probably some of my favourites were actually the henchmen, really, because you had Valdo. I sounded really Scottish there, I didn't know my O's, and Primo. Those two I really liked, and I didn't think we were going to get much from them, but we actually ended up did. Because Valdo very much felt like a kind of Alan Cumming GoldenEye type villain, and I loved it. I just loved hearing that Russian accent again and a henchman. I thought that was absolutely fantastic that they brought that back, and he has quite a good chunk of like stuff, and I think he's really great, and they use him well for what he needs to be used for, obviously. Primo, oh, that was, he has a wee gadget in his eye and he can like see things, and I was like, oh, I love this, that, you know, the henchmen's have got like some form of, like, since Spectre, like I did like Mr. Hinks, his metal thumbnails and all that, and I liked, but actually, quickly actually though, I would say my issue is they don't use it enough. Well, at least in here, they do actually generally use that eye quite a bit, and it's actually used part of the plot as well, which I think is much better of use. Also think he was really good as well, and he's in a good chunk as well, I must say. But obviously the main villain, quickly talk about here, with Safin. I'm not big on him. As I says, I'll need to do another rewatch. I just found Rami Malek, like, what should be my performance? Just mumble everything. It's like, okay, I don't know, certain things I just wasn't really connecting with him. I don't think he was in it much as well. I think they needed a little bit more. I just didn't really kind of get much from him. I did love the opening sequence. I thought that was great. And I wish they kind of did more with that, and I wish he gave that more intense presence, because I loved the breathing and everything from that sequence. I thought that was really, really good. But at least I do like how he was kind of ended of kind of, you know, he didn't fight Bond, because Bond would have punched him in a second if he would have been on the ground. But I like that, you know, he gave him that thing. As I says, I watched this once, so I need to rewatch. That stuff was getting a bit lost on me. But he gave them something which meant if he went back to Madeline, they would have died. So no matter what, he couldn't go back to him. So, you know, he really did, you know, give something to Bond that, you know, that very much Safin won, which was an interesting kind of way to do it. And I do like that Bond just kind of just shoots him, you know. It's like, yeah, I like that, you know. That felt very Spy Loved Me, the way the villain goes in that one. I thought that was quite nicely done. But the main thing that I love of the villains in this is how Spectre is used. I thought that was absolutely really well done. How Spectre was used, how Blofeld was used as well. I think that was, to me, actually some of the highlight of this movie, because the way they're talked about is so, they're so, like, Blofeld is so feared, yet he's in prison, but yet everyone is still quite on the edge about the idea of Blofeld. And I really like Christoph Waltz. I'm going to say it right now, Christoph Waltz is actually my favourite Blofeld. Oh god, I'm going to get hate for that one. I know that people like Terry Savalas, but he was too much a thug for me. I kind of like that when Blofeld's a bit pathetic looking. I like that, you know, he just looks like a normal guy, but yet he's chilling at the same time. But as I said, Spectre I think is really used really well in this movie. I really liked all that sort of stuff. They really felt like an organisation that was in the shadows. I like the little, as it says, I like the little in the opening sequence, the little kind of leaflet that they kind of leave, and I like that sort of stuff. And as it says, with Christoph Waltz's Blofeld, I really like the one scene that he gets, but he shines in that scene. I think he was really good in that scene, especially the Hans Zimmer score, the music when he's like and he's slowly coming in. It's very, very Hannibal Lecter. Everyone's gonna make that you know, correction there, and it makes sense, you know, and because it does kind of feel like that, and oh god, I just think he's really good in that scene, but overall for me, bar for maybe Safin, who ironically is the main villain, I loved all the other villains. I thought they were really fantastic, and more importantly, used really well. Bond women. Now in this movie we have 3 Bond women in this one. Now obviously we have Madeline that came back, played by Lea Seydoux, the lovely Lea Seydoux, who I'm going to say right now is easily up there as one of my favourite Bond women now. You know, I actually quite liked Inspector, to be honest, but if you still don't like Madeline, I think you've got an issue with Lea Seydoux at this point, because like she is generally a strong character that actually has a lot going on in the movie, you know, and I kind of like that they've kind of done that a little bit, to be honest, because like sometimes with the Bond women it gets a little bit kind of, oh, they're just there to kind of boost Bond's ego, and that's kind of really it. But here, you know, she's got her own kind of journey and her own kind of, you know, path, and I really quite like that. And I think she does a really damn good job, Lea Seydoux, just acting wise. Like some of the acting in this is stuff that you don't really see from kind of that kind of role. So I think that was really good. Lashana Lynch as Naomi, obviously is it was revealed that she was 007, and it makes sense. And I really liked her. I thought she was really good. Not in it as much, but I enjoyed her. I thought she was used well, and you know, the whole kind of tit-or-tat with Bond, that felt very classic Bond. It felt very kind of Triple X from oh god, what was it, Spy Love Me, that kind of role. That felt very kind of that kind of feel. I thought she was really great. I really enjoyed her. But Ana de Armas is Paloma. She is one charming actress. There must be a part of them now gutted that they didn't actually maybe make her a little bit bigger role, because obviously when they filmed it, when they wrote it, she wasn't as big as she was kind of is now, and there must have been a part of them kind of gutted that they didn't maybe push her a little bit more. But god, for the one sequence that she's in, she is fantastic. She is charming. She's just really, she's quite funny, and there's some really kind of good stuff. I like her. There's a really nice scene I really liked where you know, Bond goes up to her and he's like, and she just kind of walks on and she's like, are we not meant to say like Paris looks lovely tonight or something like that? And it was like, oh, we're getting old spy kind of, you know, talking, which I miss. I would like if they kind of did that again, because I always liked, I think it's From Russia With Love, where they say, can I borrow a match, or I use a lighter, better still, until they go wrong. You know, I like that kind of, you know, that's the way kind of the spies kind of, you know, kind of talk when they meet each other. So I quite liked, that was a nice little touch that they did there. She was really charming, but overall the Bond women are great in this movie. I really like them. All 3 feel different to each other as well, which I think was really good. So yeah, you know, I think that kind of, I think it really kind of works for the movie as well. And I generally enjoyed all 3. Lea Seydoux, Madeline, is very, god, is she maybe my second or third favourite? Oh god, I don't know. Natalia from GoldenEye is actually my favourite Bond girl. I really love her, because in that movie she has her own story going on for a good chunk of that movie, which I really quite like. I might need to do like a worst to best on the Bond women. I'll see how that goes maybe one day. But here are 3 great Bond women in this movie. Mi6 Regualrs. Now, once again, since Skyfall, we have Ralph Fiennes' M, we have Naomi Harris's Moneypenny, we have Ben Whishar's Q, and Rory Kinnear's Bill Tanner. He's still in these movies. They must be good friends with Rory Kinnear at this point, because, like, like I like him, but at the same time, it's like he's almost basically background. You know who's also basically background at this movie? Bloody Naomi Harris. Like, Christ, in Skyfall, she's just slowly just like... I think she's there. I think she's in the back. I feel a bit of a shame, you know, because when you get like such a good actress and it's like she's not getting, you know, used, I don't think, at all, and she's not used at all in this movie really. I think she has more Inspector to do, and especially to the plot as well. I think Inspector, she has a little bit more kind of more to do. But the scene she's in, she's fine. But the two that really kind of shine for me, just quickly talking about Ralph Fiennes' I love him in this movie. Like how they used M, I thought was really well done, because this movie kind of really does feel like a spy movie in terms of you kind of don't know who to trust a little bit, and I like that they gave that to M a little bit as well. Like, for some time since the casting of Ralph Fiennes, everyone kept thinking that Ralph Fiennes is going to end up being a villain or something, and I was a bit worried that was going to happen with this movie, but I'm glad it didn't. But I like that, you know, I like the idea of what he's doing is wrong, but what he is doing, he believes he's kind of doing what is right, though. And I really like that stuff. There's some really good stuff with him in Bond. I really enjoyed that elements. But once again, the highlight is Ben Whishar's Q. I never thought I'd say this, but the most exciting thing generally was seeing his house and seeing his two cats. I finally saw his two cats, and he was going to have a date as well, which was nice. I really enjoy his performance, and I so hope those MI6 Regualrs continue past Daniel Craig. I really love that, because I love them all. I think they're all really solid actors playing. I think it's like my favourite MI6 Regualrs team, because when, as much as Judy is my favourite M, she never really had a strong team around her. She kind of had Tanner ever so often, and Samantha Bond appeared very briefly through those movies. She wasn't in as much as what Naomi is now. But I really love this team. I think they really complement each other. I think that's what really kind of works with them, and I think that's why I really enjoy them. And kind of talking, I guess the CIA Regualrs actually in this one. Obviously, Felix Leiter did come back, but sadly not for long, because, as it says, this is a spoiler review. He does die in this movie. Felix doesn't get a good rep in the franchise, does he? He's been mauled by a shark and then killed in this as well. Water, that seems to be the trick. Water and Felix do not go together whatsoever. But there was so many nice scenes with Felix and Bond. I loved they did a little game in Jamaica where they were like showing coins, and it was a nice kind of like double bluff with each other. I really loved that nice little bit of detail. I just love Jeffrey Wright as Felix. Like, he's probably my favourite Felix, to be honest, because I feel like he does something with the role. It feels like it's a little bit more with a bit more punch. I quite enjoy that. People always come out with Jack Lord, but like Jack Lord kind of disappears into the background. Dr. No, I always feel a little bit. There's not much to chew on with him in that movie. But I really enjoy him. There was another CIA fella, Ash, I nearly forgot his name, Ash he was called, who was good, and there was a good bit about him, and obviously he turns out to be part of Spectre, which I liked. I think that was done better than when they tried to do it in Quantum, where there was you know, kind of folk about. I think it was done a little bit better here. I enjoyed that, and I did like when you know he did die, and obviously that was, you know, for Felix, you know, kind of doing that. I thought that was a kind of nice call off for that. I did think, and I thought it was a bit of a shame. I would have loved to have seen Bond smoke the cigar. I thought that was going to happen, but no, that didn't happen. I thought that would have been a nice little kind of touch there. But overall, I love the MI6 Regualrs, and seeing Felix again, he's always great. So yeah, here's to hopefully we get more of the MI6 Regualrs. Action. Just a quick side note, Kari Fukunaga, what he does with the action, and once again with the stunt team, I think do a really fantastic job. I think has possibly up there with some of the best action in the Craig era, maybe even all of Bond, to be honest. Just kind of going through a little bit, you know, opening sequence has some really nice bits. That wasn't the highlights for me. There was a big highlight very much later into the movie. One of the best stuff I really loved was the Cuba sequence. I thought that was fantastic. I thought everyone was really great. There's some really nice moments. There's a nice moment where Bond takes like a tray and throws it at Valdo. It was like, see, that it was the humour again. It was nice. It was actually incorporated into the action. I was like, oh, I've kind of missed seeing this in Bond. It's nice seeing the humour used within the action. I thought that was really nice to see that again. So there was that. I liked the Norway car chase. That was really nice as well. But for me, I really liked the third act action, and I really liked this the staircase fight scene. I thought that was so nicely, really well done. It's one of the best action sequences, just like even filmed. I knew this was maybe going to happen because Cary Fukunaga is quite known for doing one take shots with action. He's done it before with True Detective. I remember there was quite an iconic one he did with that. So I had an inkling he would maybe do something like that, and it was so good. Daniel looks great in that sequence. I really loved it, and I love that it ends with he fights the henchman and it has like a nice little kind of quip he does, and I loved that again. It was just seeing like Bond make that kind of quip after killing a henchman. It was so nice to see that again. I loved that. I thought that was really fantastic. But overall, the action is fun. It's quite tense sometimes as well, and it's really good seeing, you know, Daniel Craig's like a good age here, and he's still bringing it. I think he brings it more than he did in Spectre, to be honest, in terms of the action. But Spectre, there was reasons why. But here, you know, the action really is some solid, fun, great action here. Locations. So Bond gets to travel quite a bit in this movie. We obviously start in Matera, which looked beautiful. There was a nice moment where the camera goes through the tunnel, and there it is, like the kind of main city of it, and it really beautiful. It looks great in this movie. Cary Fukunaga and the cinematographer, forget his name, really nicely done how that's shot. It looks really beautiful, and God, it makes me want to go there, and that's what I think Bond movies should succeed on, is that. Obviously, again, London is normal as we always do, but I really like how London was used in this movie. There's a nice scene where they go to Hammersmith, and I really like that scene. It's just a nice scene between Bond and M, and I remember in the cinema, and I was listening to the music, and I'm like, this music's sounding awful familiar here, and it turns out it was, because it was the music used in On Her Majesty's Secret Service. And I believe, if I remember cast in mind, I think it's the scene where they're going to Blofeld's base. I think it was there, I want to say. But I think London is used really well. There's a great bit where Bond goes back to MI6, and which I think it was done with a drone. There was a really nice kind of one-take shot going down to the ground from like the building tops, and really nicely done. I thought that was a really nice shot. Jamaica is obviously used. Not as much as I maybe would have liked. I thought that it would have been nice a little bit more maybe. But it really felt like you were in it as well, which I quite liked. So it was a nice going back there. Nice, obviously a nice connection to Fleming. It's always nice going back to Jamaica. I really liked his home as well. I thought that was really quite nice. There was a nice wee couple of bits, and I think overall Jamaica looked really nice overall. As I said, it would have maybe been nice to see a little bit more. Another big location was Cuba, or really the Pinewood Studio, let's be honest. If you know as well as I do, they never went to Cuba. That whole sequence of being outside was a very fantastic set, I must say. That has to be one of the best sets they've built for a Bond movie. That was unreal how huge that is, and how much they did build a whole area that they could walk through, and really fantastic. It looked great. There was like outdoor kind of more scenes. I think they used Jamaica for that, to be honest, because you could maybe pass that off. That was my personal belief. I couldn't imagine they would go for Cuba for one day just to do that. So I think they just dubbed that as Jamaica, because they did that for Norway as well, which I liked some of the stuff they did for Norway. It was nice going over that really quite iconic bridge of Norway. I thought that looked really nice. But as someone who is from Scotland, when as much as obviously I love Scotland, but it was such a disjointment of, there was a shot of Norway, and the chase was happening, and suddenly we're clearly in Scotland, because, you know, big thing is, if you ever seen the Harry Potter movies, that big old lake in the middle and the bits on the side, you know, fields and roads on the side, it sticks out like a sore thumb. And I remember in the cinema I was like, oh right, okay, that felt like such a jump, because as much as I think the Highlands in Scotland look beautiful, and as much as Norway looks beautiful and where they filmed, I think they look different types of beauty, if that makes sense. And I think there was a bit of, for me there was a little bit of kind of disjointment. And obviously we've got the base of Safin, which was nice. It was nice getting a big old island, a big villain lair. I was fully into that, and I loved that. But my main gripe is, this is very much a nitpick here that I'm about to see here in terms of locations. I found it weird there was no title cards for where the location was, because there was moments where I was a bit like, where are we now? I wasn't 100%. A good example was before Bond goes back to Mi6, there is like a shot of him in a garage where his car is. Now, I'm not gonna lie, I actually thought he went back to Jamaica, because why would he keep all his stuff in London? Sure, he would have taken it all now back. If he is retired now and he has generally moved away and wants to go to Jamaica, surely that's, you know, you'd keep all his stuff there, unless maybe it was just a holiday for him in Jamaica and he will go back living in London, I guess. I don't know. There was just moments I felt like if you didn't know where this movie's going, you might be a bit kind of lost of where the location is now. And I found that a bit weird, especially because all the Daniel Craig movies have been doing that, and they were doing that, they've been relatively doing that recently. I found that quite odd why they didn't do that. I just think there was some moments I was a bit kind of bit lost. A good example was because I thought it was still Jamaica, but then it turned out it was Cuba, and I was like, okay, because the locations did look quite similar, and that's because I think they did film there just to for easiness. So that was just a weird gripe I had in terms of locations, but they look beautiful, they look great, it was a good mix of locations, so that always works well for me. I think it looked overall great. The third act. Now, the third act I've already read up with a lot of people. It seems to have very divided the fans. I don't know why. It's just, I sometimes get a bit bogged down by fandom, because it's just like, can you not just enjoy that and just relish the idea that the producers are trying to do something new and different for the franchise? I'm not saying that, you know, it's new for cinema, but kind of new for this franchise, because the two big things, you know, kind of really gets revealed is that Bond has a kid, obviously that he dies at the end. I love those two things. Give me these things, give me something new to chew on in this franchise, because it will stop, and it will not keep going. It needs to keep trying to do new things and different things for people to talk about, and I think it is great here. I loved the whole third act, and Bond and Naomi kind of, you know, sneaking in, and it was everything I would want for the finale of a really great era, and I think it works well here. As I say, Safin's a bit weak for me, I think, personally, but I talked about it in action. It's one of my favourite fight scenes in that movie is the stairwell fight sequence. I think that is generally fantastic, how it's shot, and it looks really nicely done in the kind of one take shot. I always love one take shots, it's my favourite kind of sequences. It's probably one of the only types of shots where it really is, it's all about timing and craft, and it really takes some time to really plan it all out, and I always appreciate that sort of stuff. So I was happy with that. I just liked the whole, it felt just so grandiose, it felt so huge for once in a Daniel Craig movie. It really felt like, I loved it when you know, Q's like, oh, the Japanese are coming, and the Russians are now coming, and the Americans are coming, and oh, the Brits are here now, and I was like, oh, this is so, you know, we've not had this type of bigness, I feel, since maybe Moonraker. Fear Eyes only didn't have it. Octopussy was a little bit, but not so much. View to Kill, definitely. The Dalton movies, definitely not. GoldenEye, close. Tomorrow Never Dies was pretty damn close, but World's Not Enough, Die Another Day, you know, they were big in their kind of different, maybe kind of ways, but not in terms of just like seeing different, like, you know, it's different countries are coming, you know, it felt so like old school, and I loved that. That was a nice, just a wee touch, and seeing missiles going off, I felt so dumb being so giddy just seeing that, but I did love that whole third act, and when Bond's running through and he's shooting things, and the pathetic man of me was getting so giddy at that. I loved it. I thought it was a really solid, great third act, fun. It had a lot of heart. I thought Daniel Craig was superb at the end, like him and when him and Lea Seydoux have that stuff, and I thought it was really good. And just talking about the kind of more end stuff, I would have liked a little bit, I don't know what, but I would have liked a little bit more of something. I don't know. Could you do a funeral for Bond? I just don't think you could. So maybe it was a nice way of, you know, it was just the Mi6 Regualrs. You know, they do a wee glass, you know, and M reads off, I forget the name of the book, but he reads, and it was quite a nice little moment, you know. And I do like how it was ended, with Madeline and his child, and they drive off, and let me tell you about a man named Bond, James Bond. I was like, oh, my heart! It was so nicely done with it. It was like a nice Gunbarrel Sequence, how it kind of fades out into black, and I'll talk about the music in a minute. I was about to say what happens at the end, but I'll leave it there. But the third act and just the overall kind of ending, I was there. I loved every single second of it. Music. Now, as many know, Hans Zimmer did score this movie, as well as, and I forget his name, there's like a friend that he has that kind of helped him as well. But the big thing for me, because I'm a Smiths fan, so the fact that Johnny Marr was also part of this, I thought was fantastic. And you can hear Johnny Marr throughout this entire score. I thought his stuff was really good. I loved his theme. There's a nice bit when Bond goes to the MI6, and oh, the music is so good. I love the use of the Bond theme. I think, for me, I think the Bond theme should be used limitlessly. Oh god, he's a dyslexic man trying to speak. I think that's how it should be done. I like Thomas Newman's scores. I think he used the Bond theme well. I don't particularly like, there's certain times with David Arnold, I think he can abuse the Bond theme a little bit. I mean, I remember, Christ, Tomorrow Never Dies, it's nearly in every single thing Bond does. It just gets a bit repetitive hearing that, and you know, because you always want those moments to hear it, and I think it's better when it's used nicely. And I think Hans Zimmer does an overall really great job with the score. I'm not hugely in love with it. I think I prefer the Skyfall score. I really like that score, and Casino Royale, I really like Casino Royale. But the Hans Zimmer score is really solid. I'm still half and half on how much he used previous music. Now, I find this interesting. If people still have an issue with Thomas Newman using his own music, frankly, his own music, remember, but don't have an issue with Hans Zimmer using someone else's music, then, you know, I'm sorry, you need to stop giving Thomas Newman such, you know, an issue. That's kind of what you do, is you do kind of would use your own, you know, your themes, and you kind of use your kind of ways of kind of how they connect. You know, it's like, oh, this is an action sequence, oh, that connects with my music of the previous one, so, you know, you would do that. But Zimmer, it's weird, some of this stuff. I liked the first time they used, you know, We Have All the Time in the World, that I actually did get a little throg in the throat with that one. I thought that did catch me a little bit, I must say. I don't know how much I like the idea that they used the actual song at the end, because I'm very much in favour of keep moving forward and trying to push, you know, new stuff and all that. I don't know if I like that they just used, I know, maybe if someone did a cover, I don't know, but then I feel like that would be more hated, to be honest. It was nice hearing a song again. It was nice hearing that, you know, because it was nice it wasn't just another bloody Bond theme again at the credits. It was nice hearing that it was not. Another time he used it as well was in the Hammersmith scene. You can hear parts of the score from On a Man's Secret Service, which is weird. I don't really know why, but you know, I do like it, don't get me wrong, but it's just more like, because Thomas Newman got so much flack that he used his own music for certain bits in Spectre, and he got so much flack, while Zimmer is getting, I'm seeing so many people going, oh, he brought so much John Barry stuff and all that, and it's like, yeah, I mean, David Arnold, he brought back the Vesper theme, which actually, if anything, I'm perfectly fine with the Vesper theme, because it was part of the Craig era. I'm perfectly fine with that. The Barry stuff, I'm a bit half and half. Of course, I love it. It's John Barry's music, but I don't know with that one. And I swear, there's moments where I feel like he used the Thomas Newman score. There's bits that sound very Skyfall to me. I don't know if that was just me, but there was moments where I felt like, oh, did Thomas Newman walk in or something? Don't get me wrong, Zimmer did have a very limited time to do this, and it's a shame how it worked out. He must have felt that was a bit of a shame, because I think he was quite late notice almost, and then suddenly it was pushed back, which, you know, I bet he must have looked at it. I wish I did have more time. But I did love a lot of the stuff that his original stuff. I liked his own Bond theme that he did, because he kind of did how did it go? It happened when the DB5 does that kind of 360 loop. It kind of goes that dun 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 da 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 da, and it keeps doing that kind of like has like a break, and then it does it again. I really liked that. I thought that was really nice. I liked that. But my overall thing was Johnny Marr's guitaring. I loved it so much. Really nice. Obviously, quickly talk about here, which isn't going to be long, was the Billie Eilish song. I still don't like it. I really don't. It just does nothing for me. It's boring. It's dull. It's just so dreary, and it just doesn't do anything for me. If people like it, that's up to them. Obviously, you know. I always hope somebody gets something out of it, but it didn't connect to me whatsoever. But overall, the music, yeah, I enjoyed it. I even got the vinyl, which is the summer. Don't have a vinyl player, but one day I'll get one and I'll get that playing. Final thoughts. So my overall final thoughts is it's a fun adventure of a ride. It gives me everything that I was wanting. There was elements that, I'm not gonna lie, I thought that Bond was gonna die, because that's what personally I was wanting, because I think that was the best way to end his era, you know, because the Daniel Craig, we started seeing his career, and I think it's great that it ended. So I think it worked out really well, and here's to the future, whatever you know happens. And it's quite emotional that this has now happened. I was 14 when Casino Royale started, and now I'm 29. Oh god! But that's life, and it's been an interesting time, and I think Daniel Craig has done a damn good job. So here's to him and his career, because I'll still follow his career, because I really like Knives Out. I'm looking forward to those sequels. But for Bond, who knows where they might go. I hope they kind of stick with the whole more fun adventure kind of type. I've got a feeling I might do a wee video of my thoughts on what maybe the future could hold. But until then, I would like to know what you guys think. If you could please comment down below. I apologise if it was a long video. I just had a lot to talk about with this. I love talking Bond, so there was a lot I wanted to talk about here. So if you could like, share, comment, that would be fantastic. If you could subscribe as well, that would be great. If you'd like to follow me on Instagram, you can. I have 2 accounts on that. Is that not 4? But I have 2 accounts on that. I have my normal, just main account is the Ginger Geek 92. You can follow me on that if you like. We can have wee chin wags if you like. But I also have my Bond account, which is from Scotland with Love 007. You can follow me on that as well. Which I do more of my Bond stuff. That's all in that. So I have those 2 accounts. So it's up to yourself. You can follow one. You can follow either. You can follow both, or you can follow nothing. I will not blame you at all. So, until then and in the future, this is Brown, Johnny Brown. See you later.